Queen City News is your local election headquarters. Voters in North Carolina's newest congressional district are sending a Democrat to D.C. Results show State Senator Jeff Jackson as a winner in the 14th district. Queen City News reporter Savannah Rudisell is live near Uptown with what's next for the representative. Savannah, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Julian. The state senator is now a U.S. representative for North Carolina. Jeff Jackson defeats his opponent, Republican Pat Harrigan. Now, Jackson told Queen City News that he's really looking forward to taking on this new role. He says that one of the first bills that he wants to sponsor is ending gerrymandering. It's one of the priorities of his. Now, he is representing the 14th district, which is newly created. It was made after the 2020 census to try to accommodate the area's growing population. So he'll represent the 14th congressional district covering southern and western parts of Mecklenburg County, as well as most of the eastern Gaston County. Jackson says that this new district is a chance for a new start and, he says, is an opportunity to raise people's expectations for what they deserve from a representative. Now, Jackson has served 4 terms in the state Senate. The other person representing the Charlotte area is Alma Adams. We're going to take a look at her path to victory coming up here within our next half hour. Reporting live in Charlotte, Savannah Rudisell, Queen City News.
All right, Savannah, thank you. After the midterms, Republican Senator Richard Burr has less than 2 months left in office, but that seat's staying in Republican hands. Queen City News chief political correspondent Emma Withrow has Senator-elect Ted Budd's message to voters from Winston-Salem.
Budd's only been in politics since 2017 when he won North Carolina's 13th district. He's been in Congress ever since, but decided to run for Senate a few months after hearing Senator Richard Burr would be retiring. Budd shocked everyone when former President Donald Trump gave him that coveted endorsement, which eventually secured him that Republican nomination by setting him apart from the other candidates. Now, Budd's also been the recipient of a lot of financial support from the conservative super PAC Club for Growth. They've dumped millions of dollars into advertising against Beasley throughout this election.
I mentioned my grandfather, who was born in 1890. He has a saying that's become our family mottos down through the years. It's very simple and it's very straightforward. It's just do what you say you're going to do. Well, folks, that's how I've operated throughout my life, and that's the kind of senator that I'm going to be for North Carolina.
Again, that was Emma Withrow reporting there. North Carolina's Republican stars were in Winston-Salem to share Budd's victory. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson and now Senior Senator Thom Tillis were at his election party, both sharing words of encouragement ahead of his shift to the Senate. Budd's race is one of 35 battles for Senate seats, but there are also 435 House races and 36 governorships at stake. Many are still undecided, with all eyes on battleground states like Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. All key races in deciding the Capitol Hill balance of power. Let's go to some of those now. Democrats are taking one of the most highly contested Senate races. Democrat John Fetterman flipping Pennsylvania's open Senate seat to blue. The Lieutenant Governor defeating Republican Dr. Mehmet Oz in a close race there. Oz's TV fame was seen as one of his advantages, along with former President Donald Trump's endorsement. Fetterman's victory came after suffering a stroke the day before Pennsylvania's primaries. His victory is seen as key to maintaining Democratic control in the Senate. In Georgia, officials overseeing the Senate race there say the contest likely headed for a runoff. Incumbent Democrat Raphael Warnock is in a very tight race with Republican challenger and former football star Herschel Walker. Warnock holds a slight edge in current results, but neither candidate getting that key 50% plus one single vote means there would be a December 6th runoff election. Things are also still tight in Arizona, where the Democrats' incumbent Senator Mark Kelly has a slim lead over Republican Blake Masters. Kelly is a former astronaut who has only held the seat for 2 years. He won a special election following the death of longtime Republican Senator John McCain. If Masters wins, he would be the youngest senator in that state's history at 36. He'd also flip a key seat for the Republican Party. Now, Arizona's results are coming in slowly due to a voting machine issue. The problems fueling conspiracy theories about vote integrity in that pivotal state. Arizona has known 2020 election deniers on the ballot, including GOP candidate for Governor Kari Lake. That led Republican National Committee officials to file an emergency motion. They asked a judge to extend voting hours in, of course, Maricopa County, which includes Phoenix.
It appears some of the printers were not producing dark enough timing marks on the ballots. There's no question that's frustrating, but again, really important for people to understand that all those vote locations, they opened on time, so it wasn't a case where people were showing up and the doors were locked, but they were coming and they were not able, some of these people not able to feed it into the tabulator.
Lake is not hesitating to capitalize on the Maricopa mess. She's promising a, quote, come to Jesus moment for Arizona's election laws if she wins. Now, most of the vote count is already done in Mecklenburg County, but counting of some ballots, the mail-in kind, will last into next week. Queen City News reporter Brett Baldeck is live at the Mecklenburg County Election Board with the count and the results now in. Good morning, Brett.
Good morning, Julian. Today, the State Board of Election leaders will randomly select counties and precincts across the state where they will hand count ballots, which is part of a state audit that they do every time there is an election. And that random selection will take place this afternoon at 1 p.m. up in Raleigh. Meanwhile, here in Mecklenburg County, things went very smoothly, we're told by Board of Election leaders. Most of the precincts' ballots showed up before 11 o'clock last night, and there was only one issue with Precinct 43. There was a wire that had been tripped over and knocked out that made it to where USB chip inside the voter machine would not work. So those ballots were counted and recorded by a machine right here at the Board of Elections. Early on in the night, 5 boxes from the post office came in. Those were absentee mail-in ballots that will be stored in a secure vault until they are counted. And again, that count will take place around or after November 14th. That is the last day that mail-in ballots will be accepted. Again, mail-in ballots work if they are postmarked on or before Election Day, and then they give it a couple days to get through the postal system, and that would be this year, November 14th. For now, reporting live at the Mecklenburg County Board of Elections, Brett Baldeck, Queen City News.